Hi, welcome back to Caleb's Chicago Kitchen. Tonight we are going to make herbed goat cheese stuffed chicken breasts with a little mustard chive vinaigrette, some rainbow Swiss chard sauteed with black forest bacon, and caramelized onions. So I've got the oven preheated to 400. I've got a pan of olive oil coated, and I'm going to turn that on medium-low. Anyway, let's get these in the oven. Basically what I did was just tuck some herbed goat cheese under the skin. These are bone-in, skin-on chicken breasts. I think it makes it more juicy. It's a little more succulent, and you can almost overcook it and still have it be fail-proof. So that being said, let's get these in the oven. Also, salt and pepper, olive oil over top to give it a good crust. So here's what they look like before they go in, and we're going to pop these in for about 35 to 40 minutes until they're cooked through. So let's get the bacon cut. I cut them into little lardons just because I think that is a prettier cut. It's just little thin strips, and I'm about to show you. This is black forest bacon. It's dark on the edges. Kind of reminds me of like black forest ham. I think it has a little more of a smoked char taste. It's good. So this is a lardon. You just kind of, make little thin strips. Kind of reminds you of like a julienne, but of bacon. So they actually have a thing in France called a lardon salad, and it is showcased around lardons. So I'm going to cut these up. I'm going to actually get my sauteing pan cooking. About medium heat is good. And basically what these are going to do for me are render out a good amount of fat to flavor the whole dish. So rainbow Swiss chard is something I used at a restaurant, the past 2 restaurants I worked at. I think it's a lot prettier than just, normal Swiss chard that you see with like the red stems. I actually throw in the stems. I cut off the jagged end, but I actually do go ahead and throw in the stems because I think it adds a good crunch, texture, and color. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the pan, all of it. And this is half a pound of black forest bacon. Now we're going to go ahead and dice up an onion, same as always. Down the middle, peel off the outer layer. The bacon's going to start to sizzle, that's what we want to hear. And just dice this up. This is going to actually go in kind of almost like a beef bourguignon process. You crisp up the bacon, render the fat out, take it out while it's still crispy, and then add in the onions and the already residual bacon fat and olive oil, so it flavors everything. Alright, so cut off the little tail, and just down. I always find that if you do everything in a systematic process, so go ahead and cut all the lines down, cut across, it goes quicker. So I'll do the same thing to this one, so then all I have to do left is to chop the dice. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let the bacon crisp up. We'll take out the crispy bacon, leave the fat behind, reduce the heat to about medium, and then toss in the diced onions so that we can get those caramelized. Alright, so now that we have the bacon crispy and it has rendered, I've removed it from the pan but left the fat behind. I'm going to go ahead and put these onions in so we can saute them in the fat and caramelize them. Alright. This is really going to, and onion's been already and aromatic as it is, so it's going to pick up a lot of the drippings at the bottom of the pan. You'll see them they're already starting to come up, so it's really going to help caramelize and add a lot of flavor to this dish. It may seem like there's a good amount of fat in the pan, but I mean there's also a good amount of Swiss chard that we're adding to this anyway. So I'm going to let that hang out. So now that we have our bacon crispy, the chicken's in the oven, the onions are caramelizing, going to let that hang out. We're going to go ahead and make our chive vinaigrette. Just for like a side salad, I'm also going to scoop this over the chicken as it comes out, just so it kind of sucks up those juices and flavors at the last minute. So I have white wine mustard. I think it's really, really good. You can use Dijon, regular, but I'm going to add a little bit of whole grain, a little bit of white wine mustard. So probably a teaspoon and a half of white wine mustard, and then the same for the whole grain mustard. Not only does this add a good flavor, but it also emulsifies the dish as well. So then we're going to mince up some chives. I like chives because I think they impart a huge oniony flavor. So they have a great kick for a little stem. I just small chop these up. And there they go. We're going to also add a couple shakes of red wine vinegar. A little salt, kosher salt, iodized salt, sea salt, what have you. Because there's a good amount of olive oil, there's about 1.5 cups in here. You want to have a good amount of flavor. So we're going to add a couple of grinds of black pepper. Again, a lot of flavor. Give this a whisk, and it should emulsify nicely. That's what we want. Okay, so now that the onions are pretty much caramelized and, are cooked down as far as flavor goes, we're going to go ahead and add in our rainbow Swiss chard. Should season up pretty nicely. Looks like a lot, and it is, but it's also going to cook down just like any other green. And then after it cooks down and has a lot of flavor, we're going to add even more by adding our crisp bacon. I'm going to go ahead and salt this just a little bit. Layers of flavor is what we're looking for, so, and a little pepper. Alright, so we're going to let that cook down and we'll check it in a minute. Alright, so this has cooked down very nicely. I love how you can see, that's why I throw the stems in. I mean, why get rid of it? You can see the little rainbow jewels of color staring back at you. So, we're going to let this hang out a little more. Continue to cook down, but you can see how it immediately just kind of cooked down immensely. And I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle the bacon over top. And that will be a lovely side to accompany the chicken. Alright, so everything's starting to come to a slow conclusion in the kitchen. Everything's kind of starting to come together, so we're going to go ahead and check on the chicken. It smells as if it's done. It's got some color on it, but to me it's not enough. So we're going to go ahead and shut the oven off actually, and put it on a low broil just to give it some added color and crispness to the skin. And I'm going to go ahead and shut off our Swiss chard. It's all cooked up nice, and I also said that we were going to toss some greens in the vinaigrette, and that's what this is going to be for. I'm going to only use this pretty, strong, about 2 teaspoons. It's going to impart a good tang. Sometimes people add vinegar. I think this is better. So this just really finishes the dish. Alright, we're starting to see it come together. Alright, so the chicken's been broiling for like a minute on low. It's got a good amount of color. I also set off the fire alarm, so it's done. And we're just going to let it hang out. I'm going to spoon over some of this mustard just to give it a little more flavor. And other than that, it's good. It's just really going to soak up the juice, the mustard, the chive flavor. The olive oil's got a little more fat in it to keep it moist. And we are getting closer and closer to dinner. Alright, so the chicken has rested and is cooled, which means all of the juices are back in. So we're going to go ahead and plate this up. I'll use this guy, looks pretty plump. Grab some of our greens. It's rustic, it's peasant-y, it's elegant at the same time. I think it's a great little dish. Alright, so we'll set that aside. I'm going to set this chicken aside as well. Grab a knife. Grab a bottle of wine that we had chilled. This is just a Riesling. It's a sweet dessert wine. I like it with chicken. Grab some glasses. And go ahead and slice up some garnish just to make it even more pretty than it already is. We can go ahead and spoon over some more of the little chive mustard vinaigrette that we have. Pour some wine, my favorite part. Let's give it a taste. Alrighty, well, that does it. So we have herb roasted goat cheese chicken with a chive mustard vinaigrette with some Swiss chard. We also spooned some of the chive mustard vinaigrette in there as well. Little crispy lardons, caramelized onions, well balanced. I'm going to go ahead and leave the skin on. I've crisped it up. I think it looks great. So hopefully you guys enjoy this as much as I know I do. And be sure to check out my blog at calebchicagokitchen.com.